What's up everyone, it's Mike Sherrard, and this year I was named one of the top 30 realtors on social media in the world. But I'm only a year and a half in the industry and I've only been using social media for a year and a half. In today's video, I'm gonna tell you guys the 7 steps I use in order to create my personal brand as a real estate agent. Let's get into it. Alright everyone, as mentioned, my name is Mike Sherrard, better known on Instagram and social media as The Purple Realtor. So, as mentioned in the start of the video, I was named in my first 6 months of real estate the top 10 realtor in my city on social media, and within 10 months I was recognized as one of the top 30 realtors in the world on social media, just behind the cast of $1 Million Listing. The exciting part, and why I want to share this video so much with you guys, is that you can do it too, because I actually didn't even have an Instagram or any social media accounts before I got licensed. I taught all of myself what I've done. I learned it all by trial and error, and now I'm gonna help you guys skip over all of that trial and error and get straight to building your brand on social media with these 7 steps. So let's get into these steps right now. So the first step that I recommend is looking at your passion and being authentic. That's so key because a lot of people want to create brands that are almost lookalikes of people that they would like to be like, but it's not true to themselves. And what happens is that they end up creating all this content that you can tell is not real and authentic, and that doesn't get perceived that well by the general public because they know it's forced and it's not as easy for you to do because it's not honest. But when you're talking about something and building something that is authentic and real to yourself and you're passionate about it, it makes it so much easier because it comes natural. So for me, what I did is I leveraged cars because that's one of my biggest passions in life. So when you see my car wrapped in purple, that's because I wanted to blend my passion of cars with something that stood out in a tasteful way. I chose the color purple, and you guys can either leverage a color or anything else that might stand out in your own unique way. I chose purple because when you look at color psychology, it represents things like luxury, passion, and royalty, and that's kind of the experience that I wanted my clients to feel and the image I wanted to create. But it all comes back to my passion of creating this brand around my car and something that's real and exciting for me. The next step is creating your brand voice. Now this is another interesting one because people need to know how to tap into a certain audience. And when you create a brand voice, that's your way of speaking to people in an authentic way who would relate to your brand. For example, a lot of my quotes are motivating, inspiring, and have to do with pushing limits because that's very much how I am recognized. Between the car and entrepreneurship, that's sort of my brand, is helping motivate others and pushing them to go as hard as they possibly can to achieve their dreams. So if you look at all of my posts on social media, they've all got that sort of inspiring and motivating theme to them so that my audience can relate to that. The next thing is keeping your message simple. People like it simple, especially millennials. They want to be able to look at your brand and either identify with it or not. You want to be able to understand what your brand is about from the second that you look at it. When people look at my page or my car, they know who I am, but they can also identify from the content in my posts and what I'm saying who I am right away. They know I'm a motivating person, they know I'm driven, they know I'm inspiring, and they know that I am here to help others achieve their goals. They can tell that from any of my posts. If you look at any single one of my posts on social media, you'll recognize a very consistent theme, and it's so simple to identify with me. And that's why people either like me or don't. That's okay, but at least the ones that do can identify with it right away because you want people to see one of your photos on social media and say, bam, I relate with that person, I would love to follow them, and I want to see more about what they're about. So the next thing is identifying your audience. You need to be able to tailor your content, your wording, and your posts to an audience that you know you're going to identify with. So that goes down again to your brand voice and keeping it simple. You need to look at that audience and say, these are the people that I'm gonna go after. Because one of the most detrimental things I see with realtors in specific is they try and please and be the brand for everyone. But what they don't understand that that's not possible and that's not advantageous, because then they're not building a true authentic following. When you're trying to please everyone, it goes back to the saying, the man who chases 2 rabbits catches none. Think about that for a second. The man who chases 2 rabbits catches none. It's the same with your audience. So you need to know who you're trying to identify with and build into your sphere. For me, it's sort of that range from 20 to 45-ish of the driven, motivated people who are trying to level up in life. They're very entrepreneurial, or they like cars. So if you identify with either of those things, typically you're going to relate with my brand. But if you think a purple car is obnoxious and flashy and you don't like that, you're not going to relate with my brand. But that's completely okay, because maybe we're not the best fit for each other. You want to identify with an audience that you know when you meet with them, they're going to like, know, and trust you based on those similarities that we identified. Now, on the note of audience, the next thing is it's okay to be somewhat polarizing. Now that sounds a little bit crazy, but look at this for a second. When you look at some of the people with the biggest personal brands in the world, Gary Vaynerchuk, Andy Frisella, Kobe Bryant, some of these people have very polarizing personalities and brand images, but that's okay, because that solidifies their trust with their audience that much more. So again, with me, I'm very heavy on the inspirational side and the car side and trying to get people to push themselves. But if you're that type of person that likes to sit around and watch Netflix all the time and you're just comfortable with your 9 to 5 and that's completely okay, usually that's not the audience that relates to me. But those who do relate to me are very, very, very loyal, which is exactly what you want. You want people that are gonna shout your name from the top of a mountain. And that's what you've been able to identify once you start really locking in and honing your brand's image and voice and that audience that we talked about. So it's okay to be a little bit polarizing, because that makes sure you're more identifiable to those people in your audience. Now, once you've identified that audience, one of the next things I need you guys to think about is going deep, not wide. And that goes back to the theme of being somewhat polarizing, in the sense that you need to go deeper with your audience. You need to get personal with that audience. You want to go very, very, very deep and identify with them and relate to them and have those conversations to the point that when someone from your audience meets with you in person, maybe it's a potential client or someone you can collaborate with, you feel like you know them and they feel like they know you before they've even met you, because your brand is so identifiable for them. You don't want to go wide and try and start pleasing a little bit over here, and maybe you'll tap into this niche a little bit and touch on that one. You want to stay focused on your audience and go as deep as possible with them so you can begin to build relationships with those people, with your audience and your following. And the last thing, guys, and this is so important, is you need to be consistent. The name of the game with social media is being consistent with your content and your brand image. If you look at any of my posts, you will see a consistent theme, whether it be with the color purple or the caption of something that's inspiring or motivating. The same goes with any of the brands that you are going to create. You need to be consistent, so it doesn't matter what photo or image or video that someone stumbles upon, if that gets them excited and they go back to your profile, you need to ensure that they are going to have that same feeling with the rest of your content. So that is what's going to keep them there and ultimately help them become a dedicated and loyal follower. So that is it. That's my 7 steps to identifying and building your brand as a real estate agent or as an entrepreneur in general on social media in 2018. There's so many platforms to leverage like Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. So please take these to heart and start really thinking about how you can build something powerful, because when you build a powerful brand, you start going from having to sell yourself at a listing presentation or in a business pitch to having that law of attraction where they want to work with you. So it's more of a consultation instead of a pitch. And that's so powerful and has helped me grow my business immensely. Please rewind this, look at those 7 steps again, and comment below if you have any questions or if you'd like me to take a look at your brand and maybe give you a couple free tips. Please make sure you subscribe. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and we will see you guys in the next video. Cheers.